Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are live for Visible Women on LinkedIn. Season 2 of Visible Women on LinkedIn, episode number 2. Woo! Excited. Look, I'm really excited because I'm using earphones and a really fancy mic. And I can hear everything so loud and so clear. I wasn't hearing everything loud and clear last week, so I'm excited. I can hear everything loud and clear. Why on earth have I not been using earphones all this time? Why not? Why have I not been using earphones? But anyway, here I am. Can you hear me loud and clear? And who is here with us? Who is live for episode 2 of Visible Women on LinkedIn? Hi, everybody. Hi, Sandra. Good to see you, Sandra. Hi, Bola. Sandra, you made it live. Woo, woo. Here's a little happy live dance for you. Well done. Well done. Hi, Nicola. Hi, Jack. Is it Jackie? Jackie is Jackie, right? Hi, Jackie. Is that French spelling of Jackie? Let me know in the comments, right? But hi, good to see you here. Hello, LinkedIn user. Good to see you, LinkedIn user. I don't know who you are. It might be the same LinkedIn users last time or different one, but hi. Good to have you here. Hi, Chris. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Claire. Another LinkedIn user who says AirPod Pro is the best. I am this close to getting an AirPod Pro, right? The reason I haven't got it yet, and I'm still old school, and I'm using like the wired versions, because I feel like I'm gonna lose it, and I'm gonna be really annoyed if I lose my AirPods, and then I have to keep buying another one. So that's why at the moment I am resisting getting an AirPod Pro. For now, I have my wired one and I can hear everything loud and clear, and I'm so excited. Hi, Liz. Hi, Rachel. Oh, thank you, Chris. That is very lovely. We got lots of LinkedIn users that I don't know who you are, and I'm not actually sure how you can make yourselves known to me during the live version. I don't know. I don't know if it's because we're not connected yet or anything. I don't know. I said I would look into it last week and I didn't, but I will look into it if somebody reminds me by sending me a message. But good to have you here, guys, because we are going to have yet another exciting conversation today. And I am so looking forward to this conversation, And for those who are here for the first time and you've never tuned in to Visible Women on LinkedIn, welcome. It's so good to have you here as part of our family, a part of our women community on LinkedIn. What this show is about is all about highlighting women amazing women. They're not just ordinary women. I mean, all of us women, we're amazing, right? Some of us just don't know it yet, but it's about highlighting amazing women who are doing amazing things with their business and they're being visible about it on LinkedIn. What do I mean by being visible? Essentially that they're showing up on this platform and using this platform in some way, shape or form to build their brand and to build their business, because LinkedIn is a great place to do that. That's why I do what I do. I'm Mildred Talabi, LinkedIn visibility coach for women entrepreneurs. Anything else you want to know, go read my bio. Go read my bio, because we're not going to go into it tonight. But I love hosting this show because I love having these conversations, and I love you guys getting involved in the comments. It feels like we're live together, even though we are live, but in the comments. But it's so good to have you here. Hi, Nicola. Jacqueline. Okay, Jacqueline, short for Jackie. Right, I'm with you. Hi, Patrick. Good to have you. Patrick is all the way from Kenya. Is there anyone tuning in further than Kenya? Otherwise, Patrick gets the prize for the furthest person. Okay, in fact, you know what? My geography is probably rubbish, right? It is rubbish. I didn't like geography in school. I know we've got Chris in the US. I don't know which part of the Oregon, US. Is that, this is going to make me sound really dumb. Is that further than Kenya? Who's going to win the furthest competition? Who's tuning in the furthest tonight? So let me know in the comments. But guys, I am going to get into this. Liz, hi. I see you there, Liz. I see you, Rachel. I am going to get into this because Olatomiwa, yes. Good to see you. I am going to get into this because I want to spend as much time as possible talking to our wonderful guest tonight. Now, as you have seen from the flyer, the lady we're going to talk to tonight is called Dion Johnson. Now, Dion Johnson calls herself the Womanologist. I love that. Don't you love that? The Womanologist. She's going to tell us what it means in a second, right? But she calls herself the Womanologist, and she specializes in coaching women in senior leadership to develop on a personal and professional level. So she deals with the areas of influence and impact, being an authentic leader, health and well-being. You know, she's really passionate about helping women increase their influence. So her book, Influential Women, came out late last year and is available, but she's going to talk about all of that. Now, Dion is somebody who I am pleased to call a friend in real life, you know, not just an online friend. Dion and I have known each other for well over a decade, you know, and her story is amazing. She is amazing. She is truly inspiration as a person. I'm hoping that as we start this candid conversation tonight, we will really get to peel back the layers for you to hear about her journey, what's inspired her to do what she does today, and also get some takeaways for your own journey to being even more visible on LinkedIn and in your own personal life. So without further ado, I am going to bring onto the stage. So drum your keyboards, at your end as I bring onto the stage Dion Johnson. Hi, Dion. Hello.
Hey, Mills. It's so good to be here with you tonight. Woohoo!
Yeah, you are here. You are here, Dion. We are excited to have you here, and we're excited for the conversation that we are going to have. And I can see everybody in the comments are ready. There are ladies here, and there are some guys. Guys, don't worry. We welcome you too. We welcome you. You know, so Dion, let's start by telling us exactly what it is that you do in your own words.
Okay, so you did a pretty good job of explaining that I am passionate about supporting women, especially women in positions of power. So CEOs, directors, heads, strategic leads in organizations, particularly those organizations with a remit or a mission to tackle inequality, lead hard change, do great things in our world, make our world better. So these women are influential women already, but sometimes we have a problem knowing that about ourselves. Sometimes even when we are women at the top, we need someone in our corner helping us to keep our heads straight and, remember how brilliant we are and to do hard things, lead hard change. So my work is all about helping women to develop a personal power plan, an influential power plan, where they get to think about what it really means for them to be influential and powerful and how that's going to show up in their leadership. So basically, that's what I do.
Personal power plan. I love that. I love the power in those words. So what exactly does the word womanologist mean, and how did you come up with that, and how did you come to use that as your label?
So here's the thing. I've been working with women for all of my professional life, really. I started life as a midwife and left midwifery in the early noughties and transitioned into leadership. Transitioned into local government and then into coaching. And what I noticed and heard over and over again was women who told me that, they came because their career was out of whack, or they came because, they had trouble, beef with their boss, they came because they had some kind of work-related illness. But what really happened was that their woman got touched, their inner woman got healed, their womanity, I started to say, got healed. And one client in particular told me, I thought I was coming here to heal my relationship with my boss, but actually what you really healed was my womanity, my inner woman. And so she said, you're like a doctor, like a woman doctor, but not a gynecologist. Not a gynecologist doctor. She said, like a woman doctor. And that's how the phrase womanology and womanologist came about.
Inner woman. What is the inner woman, and how does she differ from the outer woman?
Do you know, that's such a powerful question, Mildred. I think if we're talking about women in the workplace, this is who I know. This is my place in the world, alongside women who are going through challenging processes. And so I get to sit, I'd like to say, woman to woman, behind the mask with my clients. These are brilliant, accomplished women. And what I find is that so often we wear masks in our professional role, that we try to show up and be something that we think we're being expected to be, where we're trying to be like this for them over there and be like that for them over there and meet the expectations of those over there by putting on these different facades and different ways of being, different personas. And oftentimes when we get into struggles at work, when we get into conflict, when we get into pain, I call it professional pain, often what I find is when we start to pull the layers back of that, it's because we've just forgotten to show up as ourselves. We've forgotten to speak our own truth, stay in alignment with our own values. We've just forgotten who we really are. We're trying so hard to feel this expectation of who we should be in the professional space that we just stop being ourselves. And so I found that makes us ill. That causes dis-ease. And professional dis-ease, it turns into burnout, breakdown, below par performance professionally, and we haven't got room for that. I ain't nobody got time for that right now.
The term professional pain is quite a powerful one.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite, and I don't think I've ever heard it described like that before. The professional pain of, would you say that's because of not being able to bring your full and real self to work? Is that the main cause of this professional pain you speak of?
You know that initially people wouldn't say it's because I'm not bringing myself to work. It's because I'm not being visible or I'm not being heard. But you know, when we sit down and break that, because they might say things like, you know, I'm struggling with my relationship with my boss, or I'm in some kind of power struggle, or I'm in some kind of you know, pushback, professional pushback, some kind of conflict or disease or whatever the situation is. But when I get to sit down with these women and really pull it back, really come back to it, what is at the root of this experience, it's always one of three things. It's either mirroring where we're just out of alignment with what we truly think or what we truly want to say, what we truly value, you know, what it is that we really think about the situation. So people not speaking up in line with their truth. Or it's an invitation. It's an invitation to try something, try out a higher you. So the situation is often calling us to be more of what we need to be, more of a leader, more of prepared to speak up, more prepared to speak out, more prepared to call something out. It's calling us, it's an invitation to step up in our leadership. Or it's just a mirror as to how we're out of alignment. So I really think that, yeah, you might not think it right away, but if you're in professional pain, that I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that somewhere in there is a need for you to become and be and show up more you.
Right. We're going to unpack that. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for that, you know. So Nicholas has completely agreed, Dion, particularly if we've had time in corporates or certain professional services. I think Nicholas saying that's where this professional pain shows itself a lot more, you know. So yeah, so that's true. You talked about masks, and I want to get onto that. But first, I want you to take us back to the beginning. Take us back to your childhood, you know, growing up, little Dion. What did little Dion want to be and do with her life?
So I always wanted to be a nurse when I was a child. I knew from the age of 12, I had it all mapped out. I was going to leave Bristol, where I grew up from. I'm a Bristol girl, West Country, for those of you not in the UK. So a West Country girl, you know, grew up with immigrant parents who from Jamaica, lived in, you know, just a normal part of town, doing normal things that young people do. And at the age of 12, I was determined. I was going to leave Bristol, go and be a nurse. At King's College Hospital, I was going to train. I picked out the hospital, I picked out my life, and that was what I was going to do. And I really believe, you know, Mildred, that I moved that way for a couple of reasons. One, because I come from a line of caring women, community activist women who cared for people, cared for the weak, cared for the poor, cared for the sick. I come from a lineage of women who have this legacy. And the other thing is that I was born with a facial disfigurement. So in my mother's womb, I didn't develop conventionally. I actually love saying that about myself. I didn't conventionally develop in my mother's womb. And so when I was born, I had a quite profound facial disfigurement. So my face was asymmetrical. My lips didn't my lip and my mouth didn't develop right. My eyes, were asymmetrical. My left eye was disfigured. So it was quite a pronounced facial disfigurement. And I spent a lot of time in my very early age, from 3 months right the way through to adulthood, actually having corrective surgery. So some brilliant work of helping my face to be realigned and, put me back together again. And as part of that process, when I was 4 years old, I was gifted an artificial eye and dark glasses. Now, this artificial eye was this plastic shell that fit over my disfigured eye. It was painted to look like my good eye, and so it would just sit on top of my disfigured eye. And then these dark glasses were very dark and very big, so they kind of fit over everything. And I call them gifts because they were really given to me with love. I remember the day when I sat in the mirror looking at my newly fitted artificial eye, and my mum and the doctor were standing behind me. And I remember Mr. Marmian's words. He said, "There you go now, my darling. Now you're beautiful." And I just remember looking into that mirror, trying to make sense of this new image that I was looking at, thinking, well, I don't know about beautiful, but maybe I do look a bit more normal. Maybe that's what I concluded, And so that was the beginning. I call it the beginning of my life behind the mask. I learned I learned some really powerful lessons there. I learned that, if something's not normal, if something about you doesn't look like everybody else, if something about you doesn't fit in with what people call beautiful or normal, then you hide that thing. You put it away. You don't let people see it. You don't show it to the world. And that's how I spent my childhood into adulthood. Went to school with my masks on, went to university, went into nursing, went into my career, my professional life with masks on. Ooh, that's a powerful, even when I say it now, it excites me, because it's become the butt of a really powerful message that I have for us as business women in particular, about really learning how to show up for real in our businesses.
Wow. So to get this straight, so it was at 4 years old is when you were gifted with this, the eye and the glasses.
Yeah.
And told you're beautiful, start your journey. Okay.
Yeah.
So in school, did you go to a regular school?
Yeah, I went to, so there were a couple of things. One is I went to a primary school that was just across the road from me. Like, we could literally look out of our bedroom windows into the schoolyard. And it was a school mostly, most Black children, hardly any white. I don't remember many white people there at all. And so and we had a Black teacher. I remember all white teachers except this one Black teacher, Miss. Anyway, I just loved her. Loved having that. I loved her, loved seeing her, and loved that school life, made really close friendships, really close allyships. All our families knew each other. My family was an activist family. So we were always people's children. We were really an active part of our community, and that school life was an extension of that. And then I went to secondary school, which was kind of like really out. It was out of my local area. I had to travel on the train and the bus to the school, and it was a complete contrast to my primary school. So it was full of white kids, and we were one of very few Black children there. And so, yeah, I hadn't thought about that before you asked, Mildred, but that was a real contrast to my primary school. And I really learned to fight there. Like, when I think back to my school days, I think about me fighting to be taken seriously, fighting for, just really in conflict the whole time, that I wouldn't be put down. I wouldn't be thought of as second rate. I was always fighting there. So, yeah.
Because I know kids can be so mean, right? Kids can be the meanest. Like, were they mean to you? It sounds like primary school was okay, and everybody kind of knew you and accepted you and all of that. Was that the case? And was secondary different?
Yeah, I think that you know, it wasn't until really later on in my life that I'm looking back and seeing I was just rolling with the punches, I think they say, you know, just through my life. It was really around 2009 in my adult life, like in my early 40s, that I begin to start to look back and make sense of all of this. And what happened in 2009 was, remember 2009 when Obama moved into the White House? A black man moved into the White House. And you know, this was an amazing time. At one stage, we looked like we were going to have either a woman or a black man in the White House, but Hillary Clinton lost out. So it was Obama that moved in. Michael Jackson died that year. So everyone was talking about these really amazing human beings. Everyone was talking about these stars, these special people, Obama, Hillary Clinton, Michael Jackson, gods in their own right, you know, like these high level people. And the inference was that there were these high people and then there was everybody else. And in 2009, I found myself growing uncomfortable with the thought of me being everybody else and not these great people. And it became painful because at that time too, England had just gone into recession, and so everyone, all the other people were talking about how hard life was and how put out we all were, the other people. Only, you know, they had these special people who were thriving, but everybody else were at the butt end of this economic recession, and we were going to suffer, and we were all of that. And I just didn't want to fit into that other group. I felt unrest. I felt dis-ease. I felt like I want to do something great. And I knew inside at some level that I was great, but I couldn't get it. I didn't know why it wasn't showing up in my business life. I didn't know why this greatness wasn't turning into impact in my professional world. And so that was the year. That was a real turning point year that helped me to make sense of all of everything that's happening, because my aunt died right in the height of my dis-ease. My aunt passed away. And you know how we do in our cultures, when somebody dies, we have these wakes, and there was all this, you know, eating and drinking and playing dominoes and celebrating life. And I saw people that I hadn't seen for years. One girl in particular, a girl that I'd grown up with from my school days. And she had a son now. Her son was 10 years old. I'd never met him. Mm-hmm. But we were talking, we were hanging out, trying to catch up on good old days. And her son said, "Mum, she's ugly."
Wow.
He pointed at my face. And that was like, its words were like, I felt them punch me in my heart. Wow. But I really noticed something, Mildred. I noticed how his words hurt me so badly on the inside, but I noticed on the outside that I didn't winch. I noticed that I didn't wince. I didn't show what was going on the inside. And I noticed that. I noticed how you couldn't tell if you were in that room watching that scene, you couldn't tell what was going on the inside of me. And that really caught my attention. And then that week, every day that week, something would happen to hurt me. And it was all about my face. The very next day after that happened, there were these kids in this foyer of my church. And they came up to me, just randomly came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, they pointed at my face, and they squealed a laugh, and then they ran off. I couldn't believe it. It's like, right, like another thump, like the very next day. And that's how it went the whole week.
So just to clarify, so prior to this, no one's ever said anything like that to you?
Yeah, like, I odd looks, but it was never that blatant. It was just so blatant. You know how I make sense of it, Mildred? I think that when it's time for you to deal with something, then it just keeps it. it keeps getting touched, it keeps getting improved. So it wasn't like no one had never said anything horrible to me. There were things that happened in the playground. There were things happened at school. There were things happened with it. But I just don't think I was mindful or trying to address them or trying to feel them or trying to respond to them until this happened. And then every day it's like this relentless, you got to deal some your face, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. And it just started to get loud, like, you know, like everywhere I turned, there was something hurting me about this face. And so by the end of that week, I found myself on my knees with my hands up in the air going, God, something's really hurting. I don't like my life. I don't like the impact that I'm making. I want to make more impact. I want to do this. And now all of this pain about my face, like, God, help me. And I had this conversation. I had to say a conversation with God. And, you know, the conversation went something like, you know, so Dion, so what's all this covering up about anyway? Like, why are you hiding? And when are you going to let people see the real you? Like, when are you going to show yourself? When are you going to show up for real? Like, I just thought these questions, they just seemed to come out of nowhere. And I thought these questions were foolish. Like, I thought they were really silly questions. I'd never asked myself why I wore this mask before. But now I was being asked to explain myself. Like, why would I wear this mask? And, you know, I had to dig deep a little bit and ask myself why. And I came up with the idea that it actually wouldn't be okay to force people to have to look at my face for real. That somehow who I am, how I look is offensive and should be hidden, should be out of sight, should be put away. And I just didn't know I'd felt like that about myself. Like, as I was wrestling with God, I had this conversation and heard myself saying that I was too not good enough to truly be seen, not be good enough to truly be heard, to truly be acknowledged for the way that I really am. And of course, back then, when I was on my knees and with my hands up in the air, I was talking about my face. But what's happened since then, because on my knees that day, I just made a decision that can't be right. It can't be right to think about yourself like that. And so I just made up my mind that I was going to find a way to show up for real. I was going to find a way to let people see the real me. And I've got to tell you, Mildred, that when I was down there on my knees with my hands up in the air like this, I didn't have any clue about what that would mean. You know, I thought I was talking about just taking off my mask, the artificial eye and the dark glasses, but it's turned into this whole inquiry about who I am, what I think, what I have to offer, who I want to bring to every area of my life. It's become a process of showing up for real in business, in life, in love, in every relationship. It's become it's become so powerfully about unmasking at every level. And I've learned so much about how we, as particularly women, I've learned so much about this whole phenomenon of masking. I've learned so much about how, you know, our lives, you might not have a face like mine. You might not have had these facial disfigurements or a physical mask like I did. But, you know, our lives, our experiences in the playground, our experiences in relationships, in marriages, in our relationship in work, they've all taught us something about ourselves isn't acceptable. So we just even unconsciously be hiding those things, hiding our opinions, hiding our voices, hiding things about ourselves that actually, I like to say, the world has never needed more than they need right now. We need people to be showing up for real. And that's what I've learned on my mission of unmasking.
Jeez, I feel like clapping up in here. I love it. I had chills when you're telling that, to be quite honest. I had chills. And you know, Chris says, love your story, powerful testimony. You know, Bola, when it rains, it pours, and that's when God starts taking your faith in him. Maria, hey Maria, so powerful. Yeah, love that, Dion. When you're gonna show up for real? Karen says your spirit is beautiful in every way. I feel it. I love it. We all felt that. We absolutely all felt that. And sometimes we go through things, because we don't know that 5, 10, 20 years from now, we're going to be sitting in front of an audience who are going to feel the impact of the words and the transformation that we went through in our lives. And it's going to deliver them for their own lives,
I always say that. I always say that when I was going through that, it felt like a very private, hard personal thing that I was going through just for me. I had no idea that it was related to my cry to be more influential, my cry to be greater in my business, my cry to make more impact in the world. I had no idea that what I was going through in that dark time was my liberation into finding the answer as to how we make our difference in the world. I'm convinced that we make most difference. We have the greatest impact. We can't be influential without showing up for real, without letting people know what you really think, without letting people see you for real, like hear you, to even when it goes against the grain, especially when it's different to everything else, when it's going up against the status quo. Like that's what we really need. That's what makes us most magnetic. That's what I found anyway.
I absolutely love it. I think this is a good point to ask you, because this is Visible Women on LinkedIn. And I want to go back to your career journey as well, because we're not done with the trajectory of how you got to where you are today. But what does being visible mean to you in light of what you've just said?
I think being visible is really about allowing. Well, let me start with saying that masking, my definition of masking, is a mindset that compels us to hide. So there's thoughts about ourselves that tell ourselves that something about us is not appropriate or good enough or worthy to be seen or worthy to be heard. And so I think of visibility as masked off. And the process of letting people see you for real, taking those masks off, is a process of dealing with those thoughts that compel us to hide. It's about breaking those thought patterns. It's about facing them head on and really reprogramming ourselves to understand that what we have, who we are, what we think, what we know, what we've been through, what we've experienced, where we come from, what we look like, what we sound like. Everything is valid. It's valued and valuable and needed in the context of our work. So that's what it means for me around being visible.
I love that. I might have to start using that. That is wonderful. So at the time all of this was happening, Dion, so were you still a midwife?
Yeah. So timelines get a bit jagged because I've been on this. It's been an extensive journey. So here's how it goes. Childhood, born with the facial disfigurement, went to school, decided that I'm going to leave Bristol, go to London, and did that at 18, went to London, did my nursing, fell in love, had a baby, and with a man that never saw me. But that's another story. And then still hiding, really nursing, got fed up of nursing, went and had my baby, went into midwifery, and all the time, every aspect or every step of the way was relevant somehow. Every step of the way in what I'm teaching now happened in that trajectory. So the way that it showed up in midwifery was that when I got sick of midwifery, midwifery is a really powerful role. Being with women at that time of life was an education for me. It's where I think it's where I did my womanology training, because you get to see womanity in all her glory, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get to see it in midwifery. So I feel like it was a really strategic time of my life. And I really think that when I was there, I didn't, when I got fed up of there, when I wanted to move on, I didn't know who I was. I remember thinking, what the heck would I do? Where would I go? If I'm not going to be a midwife, I was good midwife. I was brilliant at it. And, I just couldn't see myself. I didn't know who I was outside of that. Like, that's a big clue. When I'm saying it to you now, I can say, oh gosh, you didn't know who you were behind the mask. Like, now I can see that. But then it just felt like, who would I be if I didn't live this life? If I didn't go to this workplace, if I didn't do this? Like, I didn't know how to change it. And that was really a clue. I remember that you and I did some work back then, because I pulled this out.
Hey, I remember that book.
This is my first book that as I was trying to move away from all of this, I knew that I had it in me. It's in my DNA that I was a messenger. I had things to share. I wanted to impact the world. And you and you helped me to get this book out into the world. And I didn't tell anyone I wrote this book. I didn't tell anyone. People still talk about the book that I've just published as my first book. Hardly anyone knows that I wrote this book. And it's because of where I was. It's like inside of me, I knew that I was supposed to touch lives, speak the truth, give the message. I knew that, hence writing the book. But in reality, I wasn't showing up. In reality, I was sort of like, oh yeah, I've written a book. Very masked, very quiet, punching below my weight, not really fully showing up. And then I went into local government and hated it. It took me a long time to swing into local government. I spent 4 years there really hating not being taken seriously, having a passion for inequality to be challenged, having a passion for policies to make things better for people, having a passion to see inequality and racism and sexism really be squashed in strategic places, but not knowing how to use my voice, not knowing how to really stand up and say that. So I felt like I spent 4 years just kind of tribal nodding in the line with everybody else and speaking what everybody else is saying, like the rhetoric of the day, the narrative of the day, just kind of parrot fashion, and just losing sense of my individuality and my own unique message and my own unique convictions, just losing that, putting that away and showing up and being how the system told me I needed to be. So all the way through my work, all the way through my life, there were junctions, and the pain point came when the real me wasn't welcome or wasn't thought of as enough or wasn't expected or acceptable. It was just like all the way through, I can see how it started to be painful when I had something on the inside, but on the outside, I was doing and being and saying and speaking something else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, it's all kind of a process in the journey that you've been through. Okay. Definitely.
That's something I think the power plan that I help women to do is really unraveling their timeline, because there will be clues. Mm-hmm. There will be clues about what visibility means for you in particular. And this is it's caught up in your story. There are clues in what you've been through. And I often say, when I sit down with women and we're talking about the conflict with their boss or their appraisal that went wrong or their workload or whatever it is that they've come for, and we start thinking about this and start to look at what is the problem, they say, oh, that just reminded, in the conversation they'll say, that just reminded me of that thing that happened when I was at school, or that thing that happened at home when I was a child, or that thing that happened in my marriage, or that thing that he said or she said. But that's nothing to do with that now. And I say, if it's coming up, in this conversation about your boss or your workload, is definitely worth looking at, because it's going to show you something. It's going to make sense of something that happened back then. It's going to make sense. It's going to give you something. It's going to show you something about you that's needed now in this situation.
Wonderful. Dion, I've got some questions from the audience that I want to ask you. And so Karen Fullerton says, how do you handle confrontation with people that have a bias?
Yeah, I think that the process that I teach is not denying that there are biases. That I know. I like to say I am a Black woman in a white man's world. I am physically, facially different and disfigured in a beauty-obsessed world. I'm a Christian in a religion-phobic and secular world. And for so long, those key things about me, I thought, because of the biases, because of the messages in our society, I just thought that those things about me kind of counted me out. I thought that those things about me were kind of black marks against my name or my right to be taken seriously, to be seen, to be heard and taken seriously. I thought that those very core things about who I am, a woman, a disfigured, a Christian, Black, I thought those things counted me out of being able to take my place and make a dignified contribution in the world. And I thought that not by accident, but because of the biases, because of the messages that ring so loud and so subtly in our society. And everything started to change in 2009 when I decided that it matters what I think about me, and it matters how I decide to show up in the world. And that I took back the power of deciding who I am and the relevance of me. I decided I was taking that back for myself. I decided that I was going to be the one that decided how high I could go or how far. I decided for myself that it's a real decision that we have to come to, that it's no longer about your thoughts about me, it's about mine. And what I found is that as you make that switch and taking back that power and deciding that you're going to hold on to the right to decide who you'll be in the world, then the biases are overcomable. They're call-outable, at least. You can call them out. You can point your finger and say no. You can decide to usurp it. You can decide to just go around it or under it or find your way to what it is that you decided to do. But it has to come from you. I say that I didn't think those things about myself by accident, but it was surely my responsibility to decide how I was going to think about it once I realized what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Karen, I hope that answers your question. That was really good. I've got another question from Nicola Powell. She says, Dion, what would you do differently now in terms of showing up in relation to your book, the first book that you wrote?
Yeah, I don't think I'd do anything differently, because I think it's like they say, hindsight is 20/20, and it's those points. It's like the fact that I had a book that nobody knew about that caused me to go, what was up with that? The faux pas, the pain, the fall downs, the mistakes, they're really powerful in our growth journey, because they're the questions, they're the instances, the events that cause us to say, what was going on with you then? Like, what's up with that? And when you what's up with what was going on with you, how did you let that happen? Why did this happen? Now you got things, now you can learn, now you can extract the gold that's going to help you to grow onto your next level. And that's an active process, but you need those. I need those. I still let people read the book now. And and I've acknowledged that I'm a 2-time author now, but I can see the growth, and it's a really powerful reminder. Like, this book I hold dear because it's a really powerful reminder between the woman who wrote this book and the woman who wrote this book. Like, it's night and day. Like, there's no comparison to who I was then and now. It's just I've grown, and it's amazing.
I love it. I've got to read the first book. Woo! I haven't read the second one yet, but I will get that done. That will be done. That will be done. But no, that is really awesome. So then, how did you end up in coaching? So when did you finally have enough of being a midwife, and what made you go into coaching as opposed to anything else? So you did the midwife, your government, and then how did you end up doing what you do today?
Yeah, so when I left midwifery, that I told you it was a really big deal. It took me a long time sidestepping. So some of you watching this will know about sidestepping, where you're so fed up at work and promotion doesn't feel attainable. So you kind of just shift to the side, or you do another sideways move to change things up a bit, but you're still at the same level doing the same thing. And like, that didn't work for a while. So then I moved into local government, and when I was there, I noticed that I wanted to make more difference than I could make in local government, and I just hated the vibe. I hated the bureaucracy. And so that's what I wrote about in this book. I wrote that I got so fed up of being fed up at work that I just quit. I just stopped doing it. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. I spent 6 months in my dressing gown. And, I write about it in that book. I put my hands up in the air like this again. I put my hands up in the air a lot. And, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know which way my life is going. And 6 months of just belly aching and praying and, just searching my soul for what was the meaning of my life. I realized that what I really loved about midwifery was I loved helping. I was a specialist midwife working with young people, and I loved helping people to work out where they were right now, what was going on right now, and where they wanted to get to, so that their life could be better for them and their babies. Like, so that was what I really loved in midwifery, and that's what I really wanted to keep doing. And so once I got that little glimpse of a vision for myself, I just started acting on it. And I started knocking on some of the doors that I'd, learned about when I was a government officer and a director. And I started knocking on those doors and telling people, hey, I think I want to help people go from where they are right now to where they want to get to. This is what I love doing. This is who I am. And it just evolved. So, out of just telling people, out of just, understand, just having that little slither of an insight that this is what I love doing, then I started telling people, and then I started to get referrals, a little contract there and a little contract there. And out of that contract, the professional pain shows up, realize I don't want to work with young people anymore. The professional pain starts coming up, and I realize when I ask myself what's ailing me, what's causing this pain, I realize, oh, I don't want to work with the unemployed anymore. So you just start to itch one foot in front of the other. Dealing with one bit of pain leads to the next, to the next, to the next. It's evolved until 2009 happened. Mm-hmm. 2009 happened when I knew that I was making some kind of difference. I knew that I had a social media profile. I was posting regularly. I was doing all the things that you're supposed to do on social media, but I was still feeling like I wasn't making enough difference. I met this woman, two women in the cold meats aisle of Sainsbury's, my local Sainsbury's, just on separate occasions, two women that I worked with before as a coach. And they basically, the conversation went something like, hey, how are you? It's been a year. Like, what's going on? Did you do that thing that we talked about in the coaching? And then they'd say, oh, no, I'm still there. Still sort of just trundling along, still fed up, but and it hurt. I didn't know why my coaching wasn't having the kind of impact that I wanted to. And then 2009 happened. 2009 happened, and I realized that this missing ingredient, it comes out of your professional pain, Mildred. Like my professional pain of meeting those women in the cold meats aisle of Sainsbury's made me question, like, why? How do I get my work to be greater? How do I make more difference? How do I have a bigger impact? And then I realized that I need to show up for real, that visibility is key, that uniqueness, my own voice, my unique sound in coaching was critical for the kind of difference that I was born to make. You know, that we have to find that coaching helped me to see that I can't just be a lamppost. I can't just be an inanimate object. I have to work out who I am, what I think, what I believe, and bring that to the public arena, to the professional arena.
Wow. Okay. I think you've inspired a few people to change careers. You know, Gabby says, yeah, I'm trying to leave nursing. I didn't know what to do when I leave nursing, but now I would like to go into coaching. Go, Gabby. We're rooting for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, so yeah, Eugenie says, this is my journey, leaving the bureaucracy to do what I love, helping. Love it. It's so important, isn't it?
But do you know what I think about the leaving part? I think that the struggles that I was having in that role in local government, I was having because I was behind a mask. I didn't know how to speak up for myself. I didn't know how to, like, I was so hidden and so protecting myself and so distant, trying to keep myself safe, that my priority wasn't really making the difference that would have filled my heart to make. It felt like the difference was secondary, like work felt like a war zone that I had to keep myself safe, shield myself from. And that is what people come to me with now. And there's another way. If you're in the right place, so we talked to the two women that have commented tonight, talked about the bureaucracy of where they are, and you know, one of them is in nursing and wants to do what she loves. Well, if you find that what you love is caring for the sick or the weak or the vulnerable, then maybe that is your place, but you need to be different there. You need to take your masks off there. You need to rise up there. It's a decision that I think you should take with advisement about whether it is you're leaving or you're growing there. Like sometimes you have to prosper where you're planted. Sometimes you've got to face the challenge that you're having in that place and work out what it's calling for you to grow into. Like sometimes that it's not shit, it's manure. You know, it's not dung. It's not smelly, horrible, hard stuff. What you're going through is exactly the conditions that you need to develop and grow as the woman and the leader and the change maker that you're being called to grow into. Like when I think back to my time in local government, I wish I had someone who did my work now to help me grow through the challenges and become a better leader there. It would have stood me in a much better stead for coaching later on.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice, because leaving is not always a solution.
Not always, yeah.
Yeah,
don't leave without your goal. Don't leave without understanding what's really going on here. And don't leave without really owning your part in creating that situation. So we're co-creators of our experience, and we need to really own that. Because if you don't own it, then wherever you go next, you're just going to keep repeating the same thing. And then, you know, learning the lessons of what that situation is about to show you, and then digging deep and finding out what the next step is, what to do.
Mm-hmm. I love that. We are rounding up in terms of time wise. There's so much more else I had to talk to you about, but because you mentioned social media and how you were showing up on social media, it's only right that we talk about this platform that we're on, you know, LinkedIn.
Love
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
So yeah. Tell me about LinkedIn. Tell me how you've used or you use this platform essentially to grow your business and your brand as a coach to be visible on this platform.
Well, I'm a LinkedIn fan, big LinkedIn fan. I just think there's just nothing like it in social media land where you get to meet with professional people. You know, I love that it's a business platform with real people of all levels and, you know, all levels of leadership. It's a really powerful platform. So I began posting on LinkedIn, I think in about probably about 5 years ago now, started to really post on LinkedIn and really get used to the way that LinkedIn culture works. And I've met like 90% of my clients come from LinkedIn. And I love the platform. I love the it's gotten a lot noisier than it was 5 years ago, but I love the way that people are, that you can contact people that you would never be able to contact, you know, in the professional space without an introduction. You know, this is a really convenient way to connect with people, and I've used it powerfully to, like I said, 90% of my clients come from there. I meet people all the time who say, you know, oh gosh, Dion, you know, your posts are really powerful, and it always takes my breath away, because my posts are not really ones that go viral. You know, my posts are not really ones that, you know, like 1 million likes. I don't have that, but I get clients, you know, people, when they're ready to, they watch, and then when they're ready, they say they're already sold. They want to work with me, because the onboarding process for my clients is really small because of LinkedIn. You know, they contact me already sold that they want to work with me, which is amazing.
I love that. And I love that you specified that your posts are
Yeah,
not going viral, but
yeah,
they're converting. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, because sometimes people think, oh God, I need to get 1 million likes on my post. I need to get so much engagement. I need a big audience. I need this, I need this, I need this. No, you
I
need to
think the
show
more
up.
the more you give your unique sound, and the
Mhm.
more your this is my theory, the more your message pierces the superficial level of the psyche and the heart of your reader, your audience, the less they're going to like publicly and you know, comment even. Like, you know, I really see that I write from the heart. I write true. I'm a truth sayer. I'm a true speaker. And those posts aren't like publicly powerful, but they are powerful. And people tell me how they've been reading for years. They've been inspired. You know, it really has touched something deep, something deeper than they care to explain in the public space, but it's touching.
Fantastic. I love that. And love that. That is a really nice place to end it. But I will not let you go without talking about your book. I've had several people in the comments ask, so what is the second book? What is
Oh
Influential
my,
Women?
this
Tell
is
us, tell us.
my baby. Influential Woman, a fresh approach to tackling inequality and leading change at work. And it's for anyone who is a woman in leadership who knows that there's more for her to be, do, say, create, make happen in her realm. Like, this book is real talk. It's written for you, woman to woman, behind the mask conversation about how we can be more influential in our roles and make this world better.
Love it. And where can we get it, Dion?
Every bookstore. You can get it on my website, actually. You can go to my website, thewomanologist.com/book, or Amazon, or Waterstones, or every major book retailer around the world, actually, because my publishers, Hay House, are international publishers, and they really have distributed this all around the world. So you can get it wherever you are.
That is fantastic. Yes, please go and get this book, because the reason it's so good, yeah, Influential Woman, because you can connect with Dion on LinkedIn. You know, connect with Dion on LinkedIn if you forgot to write down where to get the book. But Amazon, her website, everywhere. But the reason it's so powerful, what you've heard tonight, is you can get to take that away with you permanently in Dion's book. You know, and even more, because she couldn't cover everything tonight. We couldn't cover there's so much. I had so much more questions, but the time has already gone, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely go and grab the book. Dion, it's been so lovely to have you here. Inspiring, you know, chilling, goosebumpy, all of it. Like, because
Yeah.
even though I've known you for a long time, I haven't heard your story in
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
the way that you've told it. So I'm inspired, and I know everybody else from what they're saying on the comments. So thank you so much for joining us
Yeah.
tonight.
It's been great. It's been really enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, I'm gonna let Dion go, and then but you can absolutely connect with her on LinkedIn, especially if anything tonight has connected with you, and I know it has from the comments. And if Dion has some time later, tomorrow, today, whenever, she's gonna go through the comments as well and get back to some of you. But so Dion, thank you so much. Have a good evening, and we will speak to you soon.
Take care, Mildred.
So good. We're 1 minute over the time, but I wanted to keep on going because honestly, that was a really, really inspiring conversation with Dion. So thank you so much for tuning in, every single one of you on this conversation. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for tuning in, and I really do hope it was just as good for you as it was for me. But this is episode 2 of 6. So we do have more every Thursday for the next 4 weeks left now. We're going to be right here, 6 p.m. GMT, and we're going to be talking to amazing women like Dion that we spoke to today. That I've got more amazing women to introduce to you, for you to get to know and hear their stories, and for you to start your own journey to be invisible, or continue your journey to be invisible on LinkedIn and just make an impact, because we absolutely all can make an impact in the world, in our space. So if you have not already registered to get reminders, go to mildredtalabi.com/visible woman. That will mean I will send you emails to let you know when the next one is, so you don't miss it. But mark your diary for Thursdays, 6 o'clock GMT, right here. We're going to have more fantastic conversations. And also, if you can drop in the comments what your biggest takeaway were, because I do a summary on Fridays, and you can also drop it when I do it on Friday, but drop your takeaways in the comments and I'll round up some of them, include it in my post, and we will share that info tomorrow. But thank you for joining in tonight, and I will see you back here next Thursday for another episode of Visible Woman. Take care and have a great night or morning or afternoon if you're somewhere else in the world. Take care now. Bye-bye.